The Nintendo Switch Lite is the new, smaller, less expensive version of the Nintendo Switch. It's just like Nintendo's portable Switch console you can take anywhere, except you can't dock it to your TV, you can't remove the controllers for tabletop mode, and it's smaller. It also lacks infrared and HD rumble. And it can play almost every Nintendo Switch game in existence perfectly fine, no problems. Keyword, almost every Nintendo Switch game. So what games are compatible and what games are not compatible? And is it still worth it since it's a $100 discount from the regular Nintendo Switch? Stay tuned and we'll find out. Hi everyone, I'm Shibby and this is YouTube video number 3. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you want to see more videos coming up, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell icon. Whew, we're keeping that one. Okay, the good news, the great news, is that almost every Nintendo Switch game is compatible with this thing. However, I'm going to go over just 5 games that the Nintendo Switch Lite is definitely not made for. Then, I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to check on your own to see if a game is compatible with the new system. So stick around. Nintendo Labo. Labo is Nintendo's experimental cardboard creation experience, and it just straight up won't be compatible with the Nintendo Switch Lite. Labo requires you to detach Joy-Con and dock the console and cardboard constructions, which you just can't do. Labo is one of those things you just kind of love or hate, but I really don't think this is going to make or break someone's decision on buying a Switch Lite. But you never know. It is great for kids, and it allows you to get creative and use the Switch in unique ways, and I know that a lot of people have been having fun with it. I think the biggest loss here is Labo VR. Yup, no Breath of the Wild VR on Nintendo Switch Lite. But honestly, it wasn't that great. It was kind of blurry and there was no strap to put it on your head, and you can still play regular Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch Lite. So yeah, just do that. Now the next 4 games I'm about to tell you about can technically be played on the Nintendo Switch Lite, but I don't recommend it. That's because these games can't be played in tabletop mode. As in, they require you to have Joy-Con that are not attached so you can move them around freely. This means that you can play these games, it just requires separate Joy-Con, which might be okay if you already have some lying around. Let's say like if you already have a Nintendo Switch, but you just got a Nintendo Switch Lite to play on the go. But in that case, if you already own a regular Nintendo Switch, why wouldn't you just use that to play those games on? Your other option is buying Joy-Cons separately. A pair of those will cost you $80, and on top of that, you'll need something to charge them with, like a charging grip or a charging dock, and that'll cost you at least $20. At that point, you've paid the price of a regular Nintendo Switch. Gotta have my water. Plus, the Nintendo Switch Lite doesn't have a kickstand, so you have to find a way to get it to stand up. So yeah, that's the end of my disclaimer. On with it. 1-2 Switch. This was a really hit or miss launch title that came out when the original Switch came out. It was a package of different mini-games to show off how the Joy-Cons worked with gyro and HD rumble. It really came off as more of a tech demo than a game, and although there was a little bit of fun to be had with groups, most people felt like it should have been bundled in with the game from the start. You had to tilt the Joy-Con around and feel for different levels of rumble in order to advance and win the game. So yeah, it's not going to be compatible without separate Joy-Con. But also, would you really even want to be looking at a tiny screen with your friends? It's just not feasible. Super Mario Party. This classic multiplayer party game also relies heavily on moving Joy-Con around, feeling the HD rumble, and tilting them and swinging them in various different ways separately. So yeah, you'll definitely need separate Joy-Con. Docked on the big TV so everyone can see, with the regular Switch, with a bunch of friends over and multiple Joy-Con, is the way this game needs to be played. Man, I really want a Mario Party pizza party now. Who's in? And to be honest, although this game can be fun with some friends, it's not as good as a lot of the classic ones were. I wasn't too impressed, and I don't think you'll be missing too much. Just Dance 2017, 2018, 2019, probably 2020. Same story here. I've never played these games because it requires physical activity, and that's not the reason why I play video games. But you need to have detachable Joy-Con, and this type of game is better anyway, played in front of a big TV. These games come out every year, and a lot of people have a lot of fun with them. But I don't think it's going to make or break your Nintendo Switch Lite decision. Finally, number 5, Fitness Boxing. This game is similar to Just Dance, but it's much more physical, even being a gym replacement for some people. I mean, people have been burning fat, losing weight, and getting fit with this game, no joke. But obviously, it requires that you hold the Joy-Con in your hands and box. So once again, if you have a Switch Lite, you'll be playing with separate Joy-Con and looking at a tiny screen that you must find a way to stand up. Bottom line, the Nintendo Switch Lite is a handheld console made for handheld gaming. If it's not a game you would play on the go, it's not a game that's ideal for Nintendo Switch Lite. By the way, what color Joy-Cons do y'all use? When I bought my Switch, I got the one with the gray because I was trying to be all grown up and stuff, and then a couple months later I realized that I like these better, and now they're definitely my favorite. Can't hold any more items. Although yes, it can be done if you really want to play with your friends on a tiny screen and a makeshift stand. Bring them over. Now I promised I would show you a little tip, so here it is. Where are we going? There's a wall there. Stop. If you want to double check and see if a game you want to play is compatible with the Nintendo Switch Lite, look on the back. There's an icon that will tell you if it's playable in handheld mode. Or, if you're on the Nintendo eShop, just scroll down and it will tell you supported play modes. Right there. Handheld. And obviously this goes without saying, but any multiplayer game that requires one Switch and multiple Joy-Con just isn't going to be the best experience. I mean, you could have one person holding the console and everyone else looking over their shoulder, but come on, that's not the best idea. A couple other things to note here. In Zelda Breath of the Wild, there are some shrines that have puzzles that require gyro to solve them. The good thing is these are optional, but they really suck with regular Joy-Con. I can only imagine how hard it is on a handheld that you have to move the whole thing around. It's hot. Hey Google, what's the temperature outside?
In Edmond right now, it's 91. There is currently an excessive heat warning in effect.
It's 10:30 p.m. Also in Mario Odyssey, there are some situations where there's a moon underground and your Joy-Con rumbles to tell you that it's there. Now we know the new system's not going to have HD rumble, but it might have some sort of rumble. If it does, you might be okay. If not, no sweat. Mario does make an animation when there's a moon underground, so all you have to do is just look out for that. Other games that are still playable but have elements that utilize the function of the normal Joy-Con are Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and The World Ends With You. Now I want to remind you, none of this should bum you out. These are just games that aren't easily playable on the Nintendo Switch Lite, and there's a good reason for that. It's just not what this console is. The Nintendo Switch Lite is small and made to be portable. If you want to play games that aren't just made to be portable, you might as well just get a regular Nintendo Switch. It's a great console, it's still sold and definitely still supported. And for a lot of people, it's going to be the best option. But if you want something that's portable and smaller and can still play awesome games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Maker 2, Skyrim, Stardew Valley, Mario Odyssey, the Nintendo Switch Lite ain't a bad idea. Also, I'll be making a video of my top recommended games for the new portable console, so keep your eyes open for that. Will you be getting a Nintendo Switch Lite? Why or why not? Drop a comment below and join on the discussion. And if you liked the video and you want to see more, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you tap that bell icon so you get notifications. And drop it a thumbs up, it helps the channel grow. Until next time, you're awesome. See you later.